So I want to just go through the key things, like I said earlier, that for me, you really need to do if you want to have a successful DALT approach. So you can be creating great worksheets, you can be using your talent to create that great content. But if you're not following the key factors that need to be included in your approach, in my opinion, you're not going to have as much success as you could with your digital offer. These are things that will really motivate your learners and will really make your approach miles ahead of anybody who's doing blended learning or anybody who's doing e-learning. And these things are really, really important. So the first thing is to have that pedagogic framework. So some people might know what I'm talking about, or some people might have this face of this young man here when I talk about TTT or PPP. TTT is test, teach, test, and PPP is present, practice, produce. These are two of the most common and well-known teaching frameworks that exist for designing language training activities. The idea is that if your aim for a lesson is, for example, to teach somebody 5 phrasal verbs, the first thing you need to do is test. You need to see that a knowledge gap exists and show the learner that a knowledge gap exists. So give them something where they experience those 5 phrasal verbs and that they do an activity around that where they clearly don't understand exactly what that phrasal verb means or how to use it. Then the teach part comes in where you show them what the definition of the phrasal verb is, you show it used in context, you teach them what those words mean. And then the other test part is that you test if they've learned that knowledge. So make them write their own sentences, then make them give a presentation about those, using those phrasal verbs to show that they know how to use them in a controlled way, and then they know how to use them, for example, in a less controlled way, giving a free presentation about their life or a project they've been doing. PPP is pretty much the same. You present the whatever the language material is, whatever the point is, the language point is. Practice, you do it in a controlled way. You look at the rules and you try to practice that point in a controlled way. And produce, they really speak, they really write, they really do something that involves the use of that language. So using that teaching framework, we do that in the classroom all the time. That's something we do in the classroom as just second nature. But when we're doing online things with a DALT approach, you can use the same framework, you can use the same teaching framework, and your activities will have a much bigger impact delivered online than they would if you were just simply sending a video with some questions and then waiting until the face-to-face lesson to really get into the detail of getting into the practice part of it. Do the practice part of it online. If you're going to deliver an online lesson, if you're going to say, this week we're going to do 1 hour, it's going to be with the DALT approach, and it's going to be online, we're not going to meet face-to-face, then use TTT or PPP to design the activities that you're going to send. If you look at my 5 lesson plans I'm going to send you tomorrow, you'll see that each one of them is designed with TTT is the one I use the most, test, teach, test in mind, and it shows how I would deliver each part of that framework using the DALT approach online only, without any kind of live face-to-face contact. So if your activities with the DALT approach are designed using that framework, using that mentality, then for me, you're always going to be achieving your language objectives, and your learners are going to feel that. They're going to feel that they're making progress online, which they might not have felt before. It is not just recycling and practice. Now it's really learning something online. And again, you using your talent at creating activities is going to come through with those online activities, and it's going to be obvious that that's something professional and something that that's motivating them as a result. More than just you being involved in it, it's also that it's something that really works, and they're going to feel that, they're going to know that, your learners. So that's the first thing to talk about. The second thing is presence. You as a teacher need to be present in whatever you do. It doesn't mean that you'll be there with the learner all the time. It doesn't mean if they spend 1 hour completing an activity that you're with them for an hour. It means that you've introduced the activity yourself by recording a video, by recording some sort of audio example, and then you let them get on with it. You leave them to get on with it. They take 20 minutes or an hour or whatever it is to get on with it and get back to you. And at the end, when they get back to you, you're present again. You're giving them within 24 hours, within 48 hours, you're giving them some sort of feedback. You're talking to them again. You're recording yourself. You're sending them an audio message or a video message to tell them that they've done a good job and to tell them what they could have done better, and to set up then the follow-up activity to that, the follow-on activity to that. So you're present all the time, and that is the one thing that will make the difference between people doing blended learning or e-learning. If in doubt, you're always considering how you're going to be present. You're always considering that you're going to make the learner feel accompanied all the time. They're going to feel like you're there with them. And then your activities are going to take on a whole new level of motivation. That people will feel more motivation and pressure to get back to you because you've spoken to them to give them the activity. It makes them feel like, oh my God, I still haven't replied to his message, as opposed to, I still haven't done her homework. It feels like, oh my God, she sent me a message and I still haven't replied. I feel so bad. Like you would with anybody when your granny sends you a message and says, you know, how's the family, and you don't reply. You feel terrible because you feel like granny's sitting there waiting for you. You know, she's seen your read receipt. She knows you read the message and you haven't replied for 3 days. So, you know, what are you doing that's more important than
I would never do that, Richard.
I know you wouldn't, Joss. You're a good lad. You're a good lad. I am. But it's true. It gives it's a different kind of social pressure than just giving homeworks. Homework is work. It's teaching stuff. You know, so you can easily not do it and just say, oh, sorry, you know, I'm not a teacher's pet. But it's getting a message from someone and then being in your phone there with a notification that appears, you feel like, oh God, there's social pressure to respond. Someone's talking to me. I need to talk back. That really, really makes a difference. I can guarantee it. I really want to repeat that as many times as I can. That's what makes the difference with the DALT approach. And then finally, a bit of common sense when it comes to e-learning and when it comes to digital training. Supporting your learners should be common sense. It should be part of your approach from the beginning of the language training course. Support means that your learners might be as afraid of using technology as you might be, probably more so. That they might know how to use WhatsApp or Facebook, but they don't use it very often, or they just use it with their kids or with their people who are living abroad, friends who are living abroad. So you need to be making sure, as part of your policy as a language trainer delivering your training, you need to be making sure that your learners are clear on what applications they need, what's the minimum requirement, that they need a phone or they need a tablet to do the activities, if that's the case. Especially for WhatsApp, you have to say, okay, you need a smartphone for that. So you have to check with your learner that they have that, and if they don't have that, you need to have a backup plan. You need to be saying, okay, well, I can do it through email. That's okay. We'll share things through email instead. So to have that policy from the beginning, and also then during the course, if you see that they're not replying to your messages or something you think something's not going right, to get in touch with them, use your means of communication to get in touch with them and say, hey, send them a WhatsApp message and just say, hey, I see that you didn't reply to my activity in time. Do you need any help? Are you having difficulty using the software, or am I asking you to do too much? Should I split my activities down into smaller chunks? Instead of giving you a 1 hour activity to do, I'll just give you 20-minute ones 3 times a week. Be there for your learners and use the extra time that you freed up by not having to be with them all the time. Use a bit of that time to give them support. It's not just to make sure that they do the activities, because that's really important. They will be more likely to do the activities if they're really confident in using the tools and they know what's expected of them. They know how quickly they're supposed to reply. They know how to check their deadlines. But also it will make them just feel better. It will change the way that the whole course feels. They're going to feel like this is not just me on my own doing e-learning. This is me and the teacher working together to complete these activities, and if I need help, I can get help. So it's really important that they feel that and that you explain that to them, that you have a policy of support, and that you'll get back to them within 24 hours if they have a question. So that you're not.
I think in general, you really need to sort of set yourself some sort of policy whereby you spend at least 15-20 minutes with your student explaining exactly how it's going to work when it comes to the whole course you're going to be doing, and all the tools you're going to be using and how it's going to work. You don't just assume they're going to do it. You can never assume anything, and you have to just factor that time in and show them and talk to them about it, because they'll always be a bit suspicious at the beginning. They're never going to say that's a great idea. I never envisaged our course like this. They're gonna say, okay, I'm listening, I'm ready to listen to you, but you have to show them. Once they're into it, and once it becomes a habit, once it's automated, then then it'll be working fluidly. But there's always that cultural mistrust that anything outside that face-to-face time is not going to be as good, and you have to sort of show them with patience and trust them that they'll have a little bit of difficulty at the first, but once they're into it, it'll be absolutely fine. And I've seen that time and time again. But really make sure you factor that first bit in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a really good point that from the beginning, they might be skeptical at the beginning. That makes it all the more important to not only define the support that you're going to give them and tell them about that, but also make your first lesson a knockout. So to not skimp on recording videos, make sure you record a video, maybe even record, if you're recycling material, maybe make a point of the first lesson being material that's targeted at that one person, where you talk to them by name. You say, hello, Susie, I'm sending you this lesson today. You know, get that feeling in there from the beginning that it's not just what you were just saying. It's not just that what the e-learning they're used to, that's not, you know, it's not this bad quality or it's just there to save money. But, you know, to do a knockout lesson from the beginning with videos you've recorded yourself, with fun activities, with interesting videos from TED or from YouTube, and, you know, maybe scale back the grammar work a little bit and make it a really, you know, if they're a lower level, don't ask them to speak straight away. You know, these are kind of teaching things that are important. When we're with someone face to face, we can feel it when we say, hey, can you, you know, tell me the answer to that activity, and they just clam up and they're really shy. We feel it and we adapt. But when you're doing online work and you've assigned it to them, you know, you have to be careful that if they're low level, they might just not do the activity because they're scared. So make that first lesson a knockout, but also make it really easy for them to reply to. Maybe just have a text reply if it's a lower level at the beginning. But show yourself in the video, you know, do the activities with yourself in video, and really consider how they're going to feel when they start doing your digital offer. And after the first lesson, they'll be convinced. You ask them, how did you feel about that? And they'll say, that was actually really nice. It was fun. I liked writing the thing. It was nice seeing you in the video, and the activity was fun. The video was interesting. And then they're convinced, and then you don't have to worry about it again. But yeah, make sure that first lesson convinces them. Make sure that knocks any bad ideas about e-learning out of their head. That's also part of support, in my opinion. Okay, so moving on to what I've got for you to help you get started with the DALT approach. I have developed, like I said, the 5 lesson plans that I'll be sending you tomorrow to get you started, and also to show you how I track those lessons with my learners. I've made a DALT lesson planner in Google Sheets. That link will be coming to you as well with the email, or we can put it in the chat now. But I think probably the link in the email will be better.
Yeah, I think everything together. I think the link, the lesson plan, and the ebook as well. Put everything in one email with the video as well. Yeah.
You need to have a Google account to access this. Go into the lesson planner. You'll see you're able to view it or comment on it, not edit it. If you want to make your own, you have to copy this lesson planner to your own drive. There'll be an option to that, copy to drive, to make a copy, and then it'll be yours, and you can edit it, and you can create tabs for, you know, one tab for each of your guinea pigs, and start writing lesson plans in there. You can use some of the lesson plans I've given you as a start, just to help you get started. But to record your own lesson plans in there, to put the links in there, and to start recording the dates when people respond to things. As you can see, there's a little bit there with a red and a green square. That's what I was talking about earlier. The red square is when something is overdue. The green square is when you haven't entered a date, and it's the next step. So if you scroll through, you'll be able to see what the most recent thing that needs to be, what the next thing that you need to do as a teacher to create the next lesson, or to assign the next thing, or if the learner hasn't got back to you yet, it's going to go red, so you know you have to get onto them and say, hey, this thing is overdue. Lesson 1 is overdue. Can you please get on that? So it's just to give you a way that you can go out there right now and see that the tools that I'm giving you, and the methodology the approach that I've given you, the framework I've given you, is ready to go. And I promise you, if you go out there with all the tools I've shown you, all the free tools, you can already do the DALT approach. You can already start setting up your online school. You can already start creating a bank of activities. And this is all you need to start making more money and to start setting yourself up as a digital trainer. So I just want to make that really clear, because before we go today, I also want to talk to you a little bit about the next step for me in the development of this process, which was creating my own platform. So
before you do that, hang on a sec. I just want to, there's 2 things, because I'm going to answer a question that somebody's put in, and also just to let you know that when it comes to this free tool approach, you're going to have the framework, which is going to send you. You're going to have also, I think there's being a group that's going to be created on Facebook. You're going to have access to Richard. You can have an ebook. You can have 5 free lesson plans. So there's going to be a lot of information that you can have and help you get this started. You know, it's something that we fully believe in. So we're not expecting any of you to go away from this webinar and think, hey, I understand DALT, let's get going. No, it doesn't work like that. You've got to test it yourself. You've got to see how it works. So it's all that will be there for you. That's the first thing. There'll be a second solution which is going to be presented to you now as well. The third thing is that someone's asked, how do you sort of explain this training when it comes to the official training process? I just call it customized face-to-face and distance learning. You know, for me, it's customized, it's personalized, so it's remote, and that's the end of it. That's to Sue who was asking the question. But any other sort of questions about how you present this to your clients or to your funding partners and things like that, just let me know. But I've done it successfully many times, and no questions are asked. Sorry, Richard, I interrupted you again.
No, but it's a good point, because I've seen, there's a question there from Eileen Murphy and from Sue, that's sort of along the same lines, which is basically how does it work here in France? You know, Sue's question is important. I think I know that I've seen people calling that kind of work travail tutoré, and that they don't need to, you know, when they do travail tutoré, I've not seen them, the school that I was working with who did that, who was giving them photocopies to take away, they weren't tracking the time per se that they were doing on that work. They were saying, we've created the work for the learner, we've sent them away with that work, they're going to spend an hour doing it, and our teacher spent 15 minutes preparing it, therefore we've paid our teacher 15 minutes and we've billed the learner 1 hour. And that was being accepted by OPCAs, that was being accepted by CPF. So anyway, it was getting into the convention, so it was being accepted by OPCAs. So that, you know, that's possible to define that as your in France you say travail tutoré, so it's like tutored work. It means that you're not doing face-to-face lessons, you're helping them to do the work. So that, you know, it defines it a bit better for the OPCAs. Eileen's question is good as well, which is you do need to track time for certain funding bodies, and you know, if you're doing, for example, if you're doing work that's for a company and the training manager of that company wants to have statistics that they can show to the people in charge, they might want to see, okay, how many people, you know, what was the attendance rate for your tutored lessons, for your DALT lessons, for your online lessons, what was the attendance rate? You can't show that with in a way that might satisfy them with just using Google Sheets. So it's one of the points where you need to look for an official solution. You would need to look for something like a learning management system to be able to track the time properly and to have the proof that would be needed to show training managers or to show funding bodies in France exactly the number of seconds that they spent connected to the platform. That's something that's missing when you're just doing it through WhatsApp. But if your training does not require that level of reporting, then, you know, there's nothing to stop you from using Google Sheets and for using WhatsApp to deliver your lessons, and just defining that with the learner and billing them for that with what you've defined in the training program that you've sent to them. So
Kathy's asking, do you maybe have an example video of your first description of the method? I'm not quite sure. Do you understand what she means by that? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, you're talking about the free. Yeah, maybe Kathy's talking about the free, you know, the free tools and the method I showed there.
Right.
So the five free lessons plans I'm going to send you are all made with free tools, and the lesson planning is made with free tools. It's using WhatsApp, and it's using YouTube recordings, and it's using Google Docs and Google Drive. So everything that I'm going to send you and show you is all a way that you can do it for free. There's nothing is it's not linked to the platform that I'm going to present to you next, which is the platform that I developed, which is a paid platform. So the things that I've shown you, they can be done already, and they're ready to go, and that's not linked to any kind of paid solution. So just to really quickly present you what I've come up with as my solution. Like I said, I'm a geek. So as a geek, I'm somebody who knows about how to create websites, and so it was natural for me to go on to create my own website where all of the things that I've shown you today are centralized, like I was saying about centralizing processes. So LearnBook, it was the website that I created where it has the spirit of a chat system. So you have this user-friendly platform where people will recognize things like WhatsApp and YouTube. They'll see that chat stream with the name of the person, their photo, what they say in their message, and the videos that they've recorded. The fact that you can record videos directly in the platform and record audio directly in the platform is something important. You can also share videos just like you can on WhatsApp, so that, you know, media sharing wise, we're still on that same level of really media rich lesson planning. But also you have those things that you might are difficult or that are missing from the free approach, which is, for example, automated reminders. So there's a system in there that I've developed to set deadlines that will send automated reminders for the teacher to be able to send reminders manually and to go directly in the platform to see what work has to be done. And also that you can do attendance tracking, so you can see who has completed what activity when. You define in each activity how long the activity will take. You as the trainer define how long the activity will take, and when a learner replies to that, then that records them as having taken that amount of time on your digital lessons, and you can bill them for that afterwards. And then that it's something that I know that it's new, and I know that it's people might be unsure about it. So to be using it as a freelancer, there's a 90-day money-back guarantee, where if you're not happy with the platform, you've used it with some guinea pigs, you've used it for 3 months, and you feel like it's really not working out, no questions asked, you send an email to contact@learnbook.net, and you will have a full refund for the 36 euros a month that you've paid. 36 euros a month, tax included, that you've paid for using the platform. If you want to know more, you want to see a video presentation of it, of the platform, you want to get a bit more information about it, go to teacher-powered.com. You can see more information about it there. You can also sign up if you're interested in doing the trial, and you'll get into this, what you can see here in front of you. You'll get your own logo. There'll be your logo in the top left. There'll be your colors. Where you see blue will be the colors of whatever your brand color is. So you really get your branding on there. It looks like something that's yours. And then you start constructing your lessons in the way that we've been talking about, in the way of setting up the rubric, sending a video to explain the rubric to the student, having their reply come in line to your message. But you can split lessons into parts, where the chat is split into different parts, organizing the chat better, making it easier to revisit lessons or to understand what is to be done next. And also that there's a system of lessons where these parts you see in front of you here are just 1 or 2 or 3 parts of one lesson. Then you can flip over to the next lesson that has another 1 or 2 or 3 parts, and flip over again to the next lesson. So you're constructing 10, 20 lessons in there with 3 parts each. You end up with a lot of content. It's all really well organized. And with each individual part that you see there, you're able to set up deadlines for automated reminders. You're able to notify learners about new things that are happening, and also that you get notified whenever somebody replies. As soon as somebody replies to any of these lessons, you get an email saying, Susie has replied to your lesson. You can click on that link. It'll bring you into the platform to show you straight away, highlighted, what was their reply, so you can immediately give feedback to that. So it just streamlines everything that I've told you about, and the DALT approach, and everything I've shown you about using those free tools. It does the same thing, but it streamlines everything, and it makes it all centralized, and it saves you even more time than just using the free approach and just using the free tools. You've got even more time freed up, and also, for me, it comes that one step closer to creating a really valid, really credible online offer, where you can say, this is my online school, there's my logo, these are my lessons and modules that I have to offer. You can go in and you can access them today. You can see the videos, you can see the text. It's all, you can recycle things, you can create templates. So you can recycle one course to another learner, and it's already ready to go. All the videos are in there, all the text is in there. All they have to do is reply, and then all you have to do is get in there and give them feedback and do what we've been talking about, supporting them, being present, being in the platform to reply to their messages and reply to their videos that they're recording or whatever. So that's really, for me, that's the pinnacle of what we can do with the DALT approach. So like I said, if you're interested, what I would say to do, either you want to try LearnBook straight away, that's great, go to teacherpowered.com, have a look at the video and get signed up. Or you are not sure about the technique and you don't want to commit to anything right now, then use the Google Sheet, the free tools that I've told you about, the free lesson plans, and experiment with it yourself. Try it with some guinea pigs, get their feedback after a few lessons, get them to tell you what they think of it, and then make a decision. Okay, is this the way forward? Is this the approach for me? Is this what's going to make my online school? And decide, do you want to continue with the free tools? Do you want to use LearnBook? But just experiment with it and try it and find out if it's the method for you, would be my recommendation. So that's it.
What about people who already have content? If they want to use LearnBook, they sort of have content on other platforms. Maybe maybe they've already created quizzes, they've already created videos. They have their own bank of of activities. I mean, they can upload that into LearnBook pretty easily, couldn't they?
Yeah. So the idea is that you I'll go back to that screen, when you've got your own materials, whether it be Word documents, whether it be PDFs, whether it be videos you've recorded and you've got them on MP4, audio that you've got from a book that you used to use, MP3s, all of that stuff can be uploaded. You can make a library of files in your Learnbook. That's, you can basically transport your teacher folder from Google Drive, or from, if it's physical or if it's on a CD or whatever, you can transport all of that into Learnbook, and create your, again, centralized teaching library within Learnbook. All of your existing materials will go in there. You can put in links to Word documents that the learner can download. You can put in links to PDFs they can see directly in the browser window, and you can put in videos, you can put in audio. Everything is possible. So yeah, it's actually easier if you already have some digital tools. The difficulty is if you don't have any materials yet, then you're going to have to start from scratch, and that requires more investment. But that investment will pay off in the months that you're doing it, the months that you're experimenting with it and building your library. Then in a few months' time, you're going to be able to recycle those lessons, and suddenly your teaching job becomes really quick and easy. And you know exactly what's going to happen with each activity you've created. You know when the feedback's going to come and what you're going to say. So it's really, it can be about the investment at the beginning when using even with the free tools or with Learnbook, it's about an investment at the beginning, but it will pay off then when you have this library and when you have your own tools all centralized in one place. So that's, yeah, if you have your own materials, definitely put them in Learnbook. Nothing is ever stuck. It's not Google, it's not Big Brother. If you record a video in there, you can download it. It's MP4. It's not stuck in the server. If you record audio, you can download that too. That's MP3. You put files in there. You can take them away anytime you want. Of course, data protection. You can ask for all your data to be deleted if you want. So it's still your content. It's not locked into the platform as it is with things like, for example, with maybe English 360 or something like that. If you create things and put them in there, they might be stuck in there. With this is just a place to store and to use and to deliver your training materials using the DALT approach, and saving yourself time and money at the same time.
Yep. Just to add my testimonial, I use Learnbook, and I've been helping contribute towards the development of it. And I have a few teachers on testing it as well. There are other schools that are using it very successfully. Richard's been doing training with these schools. He goes for one day, and then a couple of months later he goes and does another day. And there's a whole sort of onboarding process that he's developed to accompany these schools. So if you are here listening to this and you have a school of several teachers, there is a solution for you as well. It's not just the the independent trainer who can have a €36 a month. There's also a solution for schools with several teachers, and that's a different process which involves a lot of teacher training and onboarding and accompanying and even sort of individual coaching, I'd say, at times, to really make people understand how it works. But the results so far have been very, very, very cool. So I'm not sure if you want to talk about that, Richard, for a couple of minutes, because I know there are schools and director of studies here watching and listening to this.
Yeah. I mean, the concept that we did for language schools was when you're installing new software in the language school, exactly what you said, onboarding is one of the key things. So it's not just a case of convincing one person to use it. It's a case of convincing a whole team of people. It's a case of rethinking the logistics of how are ours going to be billed? How are we going to send proof of the time that's been spent, the signing sheets and stuff like that to the funding bodies. So we've developed this deal for language schools where, if you are a language school with several teachers, that obviously represents a big investment. So you do a training day at the beginning of a 6-month period, a full training day with all the staff, show them how to use the platform, get them on board, get them to create their own materials already. Then during that 6-month period, hold their hands, make sure that they're doing, they're doing content creation, that everybody's getting on board. Somewhere around the 5-month mark, do another training course to really deepen their knowledge of how to use the platform, make sure that everybody's, using their imagination, making a bit of variety, using it in a way that's really reflecting their teaching approach. And at the end of that 6-month period, deciding, okay, are we going to start paying monthly subscription? Are we going to lock ourselves into a contract or not? Because during that 6-month period, there won't be any subscription charges to pay. It'll just be to pay for the training and to pay for the maintenance of the platform. So it's a special contract we developed, knowing that it takes time to onboard a whole team of teachers and to change the offers and to change the logistics of how lesson planning works. So that's the offer we came up with for schools. But for individuals, you just get in and just get started. You know what you need to do, and you know how it works. So You know, you just go in, sign up, get started, already start teaching people. You know, if you need help, there's videos, there's the Facebook group. I want to start doing training videos where I show how I would create a lesson in LearnBook, give some demos, keep giving free lesson plans. You know, I have a lot of ideas of how to accompany freelancers as well, to help motivate them and to help show them what you can do with LearnBook. So yeah, it's two different approaches that we have to that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to finish on conclusion. So basically, like I said, there's two approaches. Like Richard's been saying, there's two approaches. There's the free tools. There's 5 free lesson plans. There's the Google Sheet with the tracking and the working out how it all is set up. And there is going to be a recording of this video. There's going to be also the ebooks. There's lots of things that we're going to be sending you to get you started, as well as being able to contact Richard. He's there, available and free to listen to you, to reply to you by email, to talk to you, to help you. So that's going to be essential, I think, as well. And when it comes to LearnBook itself, there's also the possibility to have a demo, to have a look at the website teacherpower.com to see how it works, and then also ask any questions you might have about how it works and how it's set up. So I think you've really got enough to get you going with the DALT approach. We've really tried to be exhaustive and comprehensive to let you know. So
can I answer a few questions from what's been, because Kathy's still here, and she asked the question, which was how would you do it if you had a class full of people? It's true that I only talked about using individuals. So on WhatsApp, when you create a group, that's why I recommended creating a group, even if it's for one person, because if you create a group with you can put several people in there, and yet it will be a communal chat. So if you have 6 people in the same chat plus yourself, if you put a video in there, then you can have that video viewed. You know, everybody, all the 6 people in that chat will be able to see that video and be able to click that link. And you know, what could get messy then is if you're asking people to reply within the chat. What I would do if it was 6 people is I would actually externalize the replies and maybe get a Google Doc, for example, where everybody can write their reply in the doc, to be able to go in and easily correct those 6 learners' work, not to have them all, you know, 6 times, you know, the 3 questions you've asked times 6 people is going to be a really long WhatsApp chat. It's going to be really messy. So I'd recommend trying to externalize the chat as much as possible into the contributions of the learners. Externalize that into, for example, Google Docs, to keep it more organized. But yeah, so I would recommend doing the group part of WhatsApp. So Kathy as well asked a question there, which was presenting the method to students, describing what you're going to do in your training and how it's different from other platforms. Yeah, that's true. Building the company for half a year program with me, promising a certain level of achievement. So you're not billing for minutes taught. Yeah, I mean, when you're doing a specific offer like that, where you're billing for kind of a credit of time, I suppose, you're not billing for the minutes, then it's up to you to define or to divide the time that you're going to be spending making these activities with the length of time that you're going to be doing the course. So if it's a half a year course, you need to think, okay, well, what's that program going to look like? How many lessons is that? What LearnBook time should that be versus how much time I'll spend in there? So, you know, I've made them pay, you know, just pick any number. I've made them pay €1,000 for half a year, and I'm going to do X number of lessons that equals 10 hours that I'm going to spend in LearnBook. So I'm still being paid enough. Then that's good. I'm still being paid €100 an hour, so that, you know, that works out. So you need to look at how much time you're probably going to spend in there. Like I said, when you're defining activities, it's going to take the learner 1 hour. That's because you're going to spend 15 minutes doing it. So just think about how many lessons you're going to create, and how much time that's going to take you to actually give the lesson and to do the feedback, and divide that by the amount you're being paid for that, for how much you've billed. And you know, that's on a logistical level, that's up to you to work out as part of your training offer. But yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that there's a lot of different ways of constructing a pricing model around a training offer. It's not always easy, but once you've freed yourself from that constraint of having to be present for every hour that you're delivering, then you can define quite a different pricing model, because you're really defining it on the quality of the content that you're delivering and not the amount of time that you're investing to deliver that content. You're really saying, I have a language course, it is great, I'm in it the whole time, but you're selling it to them at a price that doesn't include your your hourly rate, so to speak. It's really just including a bit of time that you're going to spend delivering and delivering the material and giving feedback. Another question was, what do you do if they start posting non-language messages to each other that you can't understand? Yeah, if you're creating an online offer it's an international offer, and you've got like 2 Chinese students in there and they start communicating in Chinese, again, it's part of support, right? It's developing your policy from the beginning to say, okay, when we're in WhatsApp, we're communicating in English. Yeah, if you want to talk to other people in the group, please do it in English, because this is a communal chat. We're all chatting together in here. Everybody can see each other's messages. So please, keep the language in English. The same as what we would do. And again, I'm like a broken record, but if you're sitting in front of a class face to face and you've got 2 Chinese people, 2 French people, 2 Polish people, you're going to try to split them up or something, or you're going to establish that policy with them. Please, guys, don't speak in your first language because other people won't understand. It's not fair. Do the same thing when you're setting up your DALT lessons. Communicate with your learners, tell them that that's a policy, and then remind them during the course that policy exists if you see them speaking in their second language or in their first language. Yeah, so it all comes back to the same thing, which is treat your DALT online lessons the same as you would treat your classroom lessons. Use the same policies, the same approaches, the same lesson planning, the same talent and the same personality that you bring to your classroom lessons. Just everything is the same, just delivered through online videos, online audio, and text messages. So I think that's all the questions. Unless anybody has any other questions.
Looks like we're up to date in them. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah. Sorry, Kathy's just mentioning she had an entire class of Arabic speakers, and it was brutal. I've never taught Arabic speakers, but I've heard stories that it can be they can be stubborn when they're about speaking their first language. So yeah, it can be brutal. But and taking control of people who maybe are not used to being told what to do is tough. But in the end, it's part of being a teacher. It's what we do. We have to establish those rules. We have to try to enforce them in the nicest way possible. So you should be doing the same online as you're doing in your classroom. Whatever your approach is in the classroom, use the same approach online. You can't go wrong. So I think that's it, yeah?
Well, I think that's it. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Like I said, this is just the beginning. It's lots more to come. Lots more things we're going to be sending you. For us, I'm very excited about DALT. I've seen it in action. I've been using it, and it's really. I mean, I've been following blended learning and e-learning in language training since I've been working in this business, starting in 2000. And this is the first time I can honestly say I've seen something legitimate and credible that's actually working like it should be working. With the teachers are involved, the learners are involved, and an engagement, which is such an important part of evaluation, is very, very high. People are engaged and enjoying themselves. So I really hope you guys are convinced by it, and you're going to start at least testing it out. And that's all. Richard is asking for, is that you actually test it out with a few students to see how it works for them. So there will be a replay. Thank you very much to everybody. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you, Richard. Good job.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
And, we'll send you everything off to in the next couple of days with the replay, the slides, the link to the worksheets, the lesson plans, and the ebook. So thanks very much, then.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.